Hope everybody is well. Can you guys see the panel for the Local Florist is the final artwork. We got them in today. I think they look pretty damn good, in my opinion. Yeah. Very pretty. These are the most expensive panels we've ever ordered, but I think they were well worth it. I think they're gorgeous. You know, the frame rate might be... I was taking pictures today, and I may have changed the settings. I know I changed the settings, and I may have forgot to change them back. So if the camera looks a little weird tonight, I'm sorry. I think it's set to 30. My capture card won't talk to it unless it's set to 30, so it's got to be set to 30, but my guess is it's not. Oh, here, I think I can fix it. Alright, that should fix it. Should be a little better now. Anyway. Yeah, this is the Local Florist. It's spectacular. I'm so happy with it. It makes me smile every time I see it. We just got the panels in. Today. And man, they're good. We didn't get the PCBs in yet. Hopefully they should be coming in the next week or so. And then we can start selling them, which is cool. So everyone can get a... If you want one, you can pick up a Local Florist. We got the Local Florist today. We also received the new primary oscillator panels. So I'm playing around with the primary oscillator tonight. And we also have sequencer panels. And just like the SV1, these guys really haven't changed much. It's just the panel artwork on those. It's the micro sequence B, primary oscillator B. B stands for black because the panels are black. So that's it. I'm just going to sort of make some weird sounds with the Modular tonight and see how it goes. Feeling kind of mellow, so it'll probably end up being kind of mellow. Bill, I don't know. I have no idea why I deleted the message. It says message deleted by the Google moderator team. So I don't know. Very odd. The only people that can delete messages that I've given permission to is Danielle, and I don't even know if she's paying attention to the live stream. Whatever you said must have been pretty dang edgy. Yeah, Bill, the dark gray is sort of slowly taking over the case. I suspect eventually it'll all be some sort of black panel, but maybe not. The panels for these guys are also black, but they have color on them as well. Each one's a different color. The gibbon, smash in the mixer. The panels are black, but the artwork is, each one of them is a different color. So this is sort of a, I'm just trying to see how I can use oscillators in maybe a little bit different way than I normally do. So instead of droning stuff out, which I'm known to do for these more mellow patches, I'm going to try to get something with a little bit more bounce and a little bit life to them, but I don't want to use a whole lot of VCAs or low-pass gates to do it. I kind of want to play around with the low end of the oscillators tonight, in the sort of clicky range, and see what I can come up with. Maybe use, you know, FM and bits like that to get some different patterns out of them. Oscillator and the micro sequence, I'm almost certain we bought extras in case some people wanted to swap out their panels, but we are going to... We have to build up all the modules first before we figure out how many panels we have to swap or to sell. So we would obviously want to make sure that we have panels for all of the modules that we're building. I know with the new batch of primary oscillators, the panels are actually, or the modules are actually going to come with both panels because we still have a batch of the silver panels. So we figured we would panel them up with the black panels, but then just throw the silver panel in the box. So you would have both. I figured that would be a good idea. You know, if people already had the silver one and they wanted it to match, you could do that. Or if you like the silver one better for, you know, one reason or another, you could swap it out. But I know we did buy some extra. I don't know how many. Guess we'll have to wait and see. Because, you know, inevitably there's going to be fallout. When you're doing this. Like this sound. This is the first sound I patched up. This sound is... Follow it back here. Yeah, it's at the primary oscillator through the Local Florist into the delay, into the mixer. And the primary oscillator we're modulating with a random CV. And the timbre. So the random CV is the pitch, FM, and then the timbre is being modulated by the chain reactor, which is a module that I put in the case today. I haven't used it in a while, but I felt like my case before didn't have enough LFOs, so this is an easy way to get 4 LFOs in the case. Swapped out the frequency modulation with this secondary oscillator here. So the secondary oscillator is frequency modulating the primary oscillator, and that's that high pitch that you hear. Chain reactors, it's a pretty old module at this point, but what it essentially is it is 2 voltage influenced LFOs with the VILFO, which was our original module. This puts 2 of them in one panel along with 2 free running LFOs that you can switch between square and triangle. And the idea is it's called the chain reactor because the output of LFO3 influences the output of LFO2, and the LFO 2 influences LFO 1, so you get this chain reaction of effects. And if you look at the LEDs, you can kind of see what ends up happening. You get these sort of stuttery kind of modulations out of it. And you can clean it up if you want, but that's kind of what made the Vilfo fun, was that you can get these crazy stuttery effects out of it. Those modules, I've had it around so long that it always tends to get bumped from the case for one reason or another, which is a shame, but never have room for everything. But that's the nice thing, you know, Eurorack, you can just swap stuff in and out. Assuming you're like me and you have way too many modules. So I did take the time today to completely pull all the modules out of my rack, and I cleaned everything off and put them back there in a different order, but I find when I put these things back in, some of the modules, like the modules that have acrylic panels, like the Dual Dynamics controller and the Gibbon, these guys up here, if they're in the wrong spot, the lights just glare off them and you can't see them. So when I put the modular together, I have to do it with all the cameras on and the lights on so that I can keep track of making sure that nothing has a crazy glare on it. So it's sort of a strange thing that I never thought I would have to think about too much. We're going to put a clock in here, so I've got a clock. The sort of drone thing is clocked right now with the chain reactor, which is the problem with the chain reactor is you can't really sync it with anything ever. Yeah, you can't tell that from the camera, you can't really tell that they're acrylic because, again, I've gotten rid of most of the glare. But all the ones with the white background are all acrylic, and that's because what I do is I use clear acrylic. And I cut out the panels using my little desktop CNC machine, and then I just put a piece of white paper behind that I've printed out the graphics on. So it's an easy way for me to sort of test the user interface without ordering, you know, full aluminum panels. I can cut them on my desk and make changes and whatnot. The problem is I can't really print black panels because I would go through a ton of ink, so the acrylic ones always sort of have just the white paper background. Hey, Yotis, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I got the Florist panels today. They're right here. I think they're looking good. So now that I can zoom in a little bit, maybe down here on the dual dynamics controller, you can see, maybe you can see right here if I cover it with my finger a little bit, there's a crack coming from the screw to the edge, and that's just because I tightened it down just a little bit too much, and because it's just acrylic, you know, acrylics, it cracks super fast. So that's it. And then these guys, I don't know if I can, they wobble a little bit, because again, just 4 HP acrylic panel. That's alright. They serve their purpose well. I'll move my head out of the way. So, trying to use the double helix here to create some sort of non-noise based hi-hat pattern. Oh, Bill, I did solve the mystery of the unflashable gibbon. The gibbons were... The problem wasn't the process. The problem was there was a couple major bugs in the firmware that were preventing the features to work properly. So I spent the evening playing around with it, and all was well. And I actually implemented... Kill this sound here. Kind of start over. I actually implemented quite a bunch of new features in the Gibbon for something that was meant to be sort of a down and dirty kind of shift register randomizer. The amount of code, the amount of effort I put into that has been phenomenal. But I think the results are going to be absolutely worth it. So there's the idea from it originally was that it was always, you know, you could clock it and then it would give some division of the clock. So it would be chaotic, but not completely. It would always be musical because it was always, you know, the whole note, half, quarter, 16th. But what I found was sometimes you want it to be chaotic and you want it to be more random. So I added a free running mode where it essentially ignores the clock if it's using the internal clock, and if it's using the external clock kind of resets the randomness each time, so it ends up with a really interesting effect. So if you want completely random, now you can get it, but you can also get a half mode with the external clock, which works out to be really, really interesting. And it's been fun to program because it has allowed me to experiment with some stuff that I've been interested in for a long time, but I've never sort of had the time to kind of sit down and do it. So, problem solved, and the module is way better for it. There's still one bug left in it that I have to go in and squash, but it's extremely minor. I'm waiting till I find a couple more before I spend another evening kind of digging in. But I'm pretty happy with the way it's turned out. The Gibbon is going to make its way now into an instrument, which I'm pretty excited about. I was working on it over the weekend, along with the Local Florist. They're both going to be featured in an upcoming instrument. At this point, probably quite a bit of ways away, but cool nonetheless, and interesting to me. So that's fun, but I don't think that's what I want. I think I just want the clicking sound. I can modulate a little bit. And did I ever get the reply to the email you sent me a few weeks ago? Yes. Yes, I did. Yeah, it should be cool. We have got some interesting things coming up. And the ideas that we're utilizing in these new instruments that Michael and I are working on right now are sort of building on, you know, everything we've done in the past. So I've really tried to utilize these new little modules as a way to test some of these circuits, allow me to get hands-on with them as I'm designing the larger instruments. Because if I have more hands-on time with it, I'm going to have a better understanding of how to incorporate it and what features actually need to be in there. You know, you could think of these as sort of all the features, but not necessarily all of these features are going to make sense within the context of a particular instrument. So you kind of, you say, okay, well, what does make sense then? And you kind of go from there. And does the sound make sense? The reason we designed the Local Florist initially, it turned out that instrument didn't make any sense for the Local Florist, and it ended up just being really wrong for the job. But you know, you don't know that until you have a chance to build it up, because it just the way it sounded, it just didn't make sense. But I fell in love with the thing so much that I had to find a way to make it work. And I think what we have now and what we're using it for now, it really does work. We're playing on the strengths of the Local Florist, the Gibbon, to do some interesting stuff with it. And that's kind of that's the key. I know this patch is taking a while to get there, but it'll get there. Kind of changed my mind on what I wanted to do. That's all right. I think I've done enough patches recently where I sort of drone out that I'm gonna do something with a beat for fun. Yeah, Clay, the way I think of an instrument versus standalone modules is I feel like an instrument needs to be more curated. So it needs to offer a complete set of tools, but it has to be what I would consider a focused set of tools. And so, you know, you can't put everything in everything, or it doesn't work. So you kind of find the bits that make sense, and you go from there. Something is, there we go. Something self-oscillating. No sound is coming out. Maybe I don't have the filter plugged in. That could be the thing. Because I did switch everything up today, so maybe I just didn't plug the filter back in. That would be funny. I guess we could find out by patching in a different filter and see if it makes a sound. Yeah, that's absolutely what happened. Since the channel driver isn't going to see the light of day, is there any chance you could post the schematics and bill of materials to your website? No. But if you want the EQ, it's up here. If you want the EQ from the channel driver, it's the schematics for the Tascam M30 are readily available in the back of the user manual. We made a few minor changes, but really to the EQ section, we didn't make a whole lot of changes. The preamp at the beginning and the soft clipping circuit at the end are proprietary circuits that we use all over the place, so I can't give those away. But the EQ, if you just like the way the EQ sounds, you know, the schematics are readily available. They can be mildly confusing to read because it uses stereo pots, but they're there. And I would recommend checking it out anyway because the M30 has such a great sound, and there's a lot of interesting things with that mixer. It's a quirky as hell mixer, so definitely worth checking out. Just for the fun of it. We should do a morph. On the little clicky sound. How's business been? Any drop off? Do I miss trade shows? Business has been pretty good. There has been a little drop off this year, as we expected, although we expected quite a bit, a much larger drop off than we actually had. So that's good. This year was always going to be a transition year for us, for reasons that we were hoping to explain by now, but because of 2020, that has been slightly pushed back, yet still in the works. So it was going to be an off year for us anyway. We knew that coming in, but it's turned out it wasn't too bad. We have a lot of excitement, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of momentum going into 2021 as far as new instruments go. We have a lot of new stuff in the works, a lot of really interesting stuff, flagship stuff and quirky stuff and silly stuff and fun stuff and easy stuff and complicated stuff. There's a lot of everything. And again, that'll all come down to stuff we'll talk about in a couple months here. And do I miss trade shows? Oh, I desperately miss trade shows. I actually really enjoy going to trade shows, especially, Super Booth is my favorite week of the year. NAMM, I have a great time. This past NAMM was a really important trade show for Pittsburgh Modular. We weren't going to go. We decided at the last minute to just get the smallest booth we could get, just so we could go and say hi to everybody. And it turned out to be wildly worth it for us. Again, for reasons that'll come to light here in a few months. But yeah, some of my favorite people I get to see at trade shows, 3 or 4 times a year. To go out and have dinner, go out and have drinks with my friends that I only see at shows because they live all around the world it's been really tough. But I'm huddled down here in my COVID bunker, and I get to hang out with you guys on YouTube. So I think that's pretty great as well. Hey, it's Christopher Geisler. Hello, sir. Christopher Geisler is a fine synthesizer designer on his own. Fantastic engineer. Has done some interesting work for some interesting companies in the past. All right, let's make some more sounds here. Let's make something that's maybe a little... What do I have going on channel 1? There's nothing on channel 1. Let's make something on channel 1. Let's make it kind of weird and clicky. That seems to be the way today. It's not weird or clicky. I know I mention this all the time, but I always patch backwards. Do you guys patch backwards? I don't know if ultimately it makes any difference, but it's just kind of how my brain works. just kind of, when I patch, I know where I want it to go, and I know what the patch is going to be for like this sound. It's a pretty simple sound, but because I know that, I start at the back and kind of work my way backwards. It sounds not particularly inspiring, but we'll get there. If we put some noise in places it's not normally supposed to go, we'll get something interesting out of it. Well, the asymmetry is not going to be it. Filter a wave folder out. That's what I got the. That's what we're listening to now. We're listening to the wave folder out. Into Dynamics A here. All the sound is interesting, it's not what I want it to be. Now, to be fair, I don't really know what I want it to be. I just want it to be better than it is. Why they're deleting messages. That's strange. To modulate the waveform. See if that gives us anything good. It all kind of sounds the same to me. Disappointed in the voltage lab. Well. I don't say that very often. It's true. That I kind of like. Ran it through the smash filter up here with a lot of resonance. Now it just needs some pitch variation. We'll be good to go. We just let this one randomly change too. filter, the production version, is called Crow. Because we did the Smash filter, the mixer, and the Gibbon. We named them all after animals. So the Smash is a crow, the mixer is a giraffe, and the Gibbon is a gibbon. And the reason the mixer is a giraffe is because giraffes are tall and skinny, and that fits on a panel. Crows are cool. Yeah, all the local florists will be signed on the back of the panel. By me. And if we can work out a way to get Michael to sign them as well in a socially distanced, safe way, we'll have him do it as well. Otherwise, you're just stuck with my signature. That may not help the price at all, but kind of is what it is. Come around to that sound. Kind of digging it now. If you ever bring it into the shop someday when we're open, I'll sign it for you. The only reason we're going to do that with the local florist is because we had a few people mention it after they had bought the Cascading Delay Network that they had wished it was signed. So that's, had we known then, we would have. But we didn't. Edges and the texture. It's all about texture to me. That's what synthesis is. I like, to me, it's really important to make it sound sort of real. I like using electronics to create something that sounds like it's happening in real life, I guess. But that's really important to me. So that's a lot of the sounds, and that's what I'm sort of searching for as whatever type of musician or as an artist I would be. Those are the sounds that get me excited, and that, therefore that's what pushes kind of Pittsburgh Modular in what we do and what we're searching for as far as sounds and researching circuitry goes. We're looking for those types of sounds, and we're looking for ways to create those sounds that have never been created before. And we've found some really interesting ways of doing that. The sort of next generation post Voltage Lab, Michael has really outdone himself in the idea that if we think of the warp circuit from the Voltage Lab, giving us the ability to fold high harmonic waveforms like square waves and whatnot in ways that you could never do before. And the idea of the dynamics controller circuit that allows us to shape the response of the Vactral. Those are just the tip of the iceberg for what Michael's come up with. Some of the stuff he's working on now It's just absolutely bonkers, and I can't wait to get it in the next big synth. The thing that's going to have the Local Florist and the Gibbet in it also includes three really key, the three sort of flag in the sand kind of statement circuits are in there as well. Those we are not going to put into individual modules first, because we really want them, when these instruments to come out, to be like, oh, okay, they're doing that now. So that's kind of where that stuff lives. But it's really cool stuff. It took me a bit to get my head around, actually, a lot of what he's doing. Something should be happening here. I'm not getting it. There we go. I'm surprised no one's, you know, we're a little tiny company. Nobody really pays that much attention to us, honestly. But if someone wanted to figure it out, they absolutely could. We don't harm any unicorns. We like the unicorns. I like how this patch is sort of evolving into maybe a bunch of musicians kind of learning their instruments in real time. To be honest, I haven't looked at the Pulsar 24. I'll have to check it out when we're done. I have played with the Lyra 8, and that thing is fascinating. It's a beautiful instrument. It's super interesting to play with. I'm a fan. Drum should morph too. Everything morphs. for the SV1B. If you take patch out of the ADSR into the channel 3 of the mixer here, assuming you're not using channel 3 and channel 4, so we'll patch out a channel 2 into the filter. So we're splitting the mixer into half. So the top half will be audio, so we're to get the sine and the saw wave here going into the filter, and now we're going to use the bottom half. We're going to patch in with the envelope and the triangle wave from the LFO. And we'll just take the output of that and go into the filter cutoff here. That allows us to use both the envelope and the LFO to modulate the filter cutoff. I know it's not a groundbreaking trick, but maybe something that's not immediately obvious when playing around with the SV1B. I'm using all the channels in the mixer too. What do I think of the microvolts? I love the microvolt. It's I'm extremely proud of the microvolt. It's one of the instruments. It's sort of the first instrument that Michael and I really collaborated closely on. And really, the microvolt right here really began to shape how I thought about what we could do with modular synthesis as far as synthesizers go, as far as creating a curated experience for the artist, and the idea of this organic sound, and searching for this sound that was in my head that really hadn't existed yet. The microvolt really was the beginning of that for me. It was really the beginning of the next stage of what Pittsburgh Modular is right now, and sort of all this really interesting research that we're doing into wave shapers and cascading wave shaping really began with the microvolt. It has a unique sound. It's one of those sounds that you either kind of love it, and a lot of people really do love it, or it's not for you. all the time. If I'm not using the big modular here and I have my little boxes out, that's absolutely in it all the time. It's kind of the centerpiece of that setup. And I'm a fan. I know we still... The microvolt is one of those instruments where we have a few left in the shop, and then once they're gone, they're kind of gone. I don't think we're going to do another one or another run of them, but we got some left, so it's not the end of the world on those things. But a lovely instrument. It does mean a lot to me. But again, I designed it, so I'm probably not the greatest person to ask. Every now and then the main camera I think that has to do with me screwing around taking pictures earlier. If I hadn't screwed around with my camera, it would work fine. I'll take a look when this live stream is done. I suspect it has to do with one of the settings that I changed so I could use the camera for photographs. Does the microvolt's attack have the turn it to 0 for percussive trick? Yeah. Actually, the microvolt, I've got it. The way the microvolt, if I can get it to focus on it, there we go. The way the microvolt has a super sharp attack. It's the same envelope that's in, well, you can't see it, but it's in the SV1B over there. But it also has the dynamic VCA in it, so you can bypass the envelope altogether and just pluck the dynamic VCA and use the dynamics response knob as your decay, and it gets super plucky because it's essentially a low pass gate. This one is tuned a little bit different than the one we used in the voltage lab, but it absolutely can stand on its own as an envelope if you want something super plucky and super percussive. Shut off all the kick drum. Let's see what it evolves to. I think a lot of people did that, Bill, and I think because it's not Eurorack formats, that might be one of the reasons why people didn't give it as much of a thought or as close of a look. But the instrument, to do something that wasn't Eurorack was really important to me at the time. I was so sick of working in the 3U format that I had to experiment, and I had to try something different. And I think for me it worked out really well. Because not everything can be Eurorack all the time, right? anything for you, buccal format? No. No, I would not. I just don't think there's a big enough market. Yes, hidden devices. The microvolt is fully compatible with Eurorack. It's all the same voltages. It's just not physically the same size, that's all. Despite Michael and I complaining about Eurorack format standards as often as we do, when we did have our one chance to do something different, we just did Eurorack. Oh well. variety out there already. So much cool stuff. washers. I love it. That was my first case. I didn't use the nylon washers, but it was definitely 2 pieces of wood, some screws. Stuff. It's sort of rhythmic, but so chaotic at the same time. Like you can find the patterns if you're looking for them, but you don't need to, and that's okay. SV1B through the channel driver, so you can hear it so much livelier. That's that M30 EQ. Against used modules. I'm happy someone bought it in the first place. And if someone buys it used and tries it out, decides they like it, you know, maybe the next module they buy from me new, or you know, they have a positive experience with support or whatever, and we can make a customer out of them. You know, ultimately the point is give artists the tools they need to make music. And, you know, if they're doing that, there's no difference between a new module and a used module for the most part. So, let's get this stuff in as many hands as we can. Eurorack's tough because it's not, most people can't go down to Schneider's Lot or any one of the numerous stores, Perfect Circuit in LA, and try stuff out before they buy it. Most people have to order it, try it, and hope they like it. So, you know, because of that, there's gonna be a robust used market. And I think that's great. The point in all this is we're all trying to find that sound in our head and get it out there. So whatever it takes to do that. Gibbon. The Gibbon's not any one particular sound. It's mostly modulation. I'm using it as, right now, it's not really driving any of the patterns. oscillators out because I wanted to make room for the primary oscillators. So I think the next time the red oscillators will be back is when they are no longer red. And I can sort of demo them properly and talk about them properly. What we have. There's this sound. Which is this delay, the smash filter, dynamics controller, and primary oscillator. So there's that sound doing that thing. Then we have this thing, which is the double helix. There is the kick drum, which I think is on channel 3 here, which is getting out of hand. Let's turn the effect off on that and just pick a pattern here. So there's that, and then we have this sound, which is basically the Local Florist being struck. There's this sound, which is not much. Then there's this channel. This channel actually has three different sounds going through it that are running through this submixer up here. So we have our snare drum, if you could call it that. And that's going through this delay over here that's being modulated to give it the weirdness. Then we have SV1B. I have no idea what this sound is. This is... oh, I'm sorry. This is the double helix going through the SV1B, or going through the Local Florist. So the other sound must have been the second oscillator here. So anyway, those are all the weird sounds we have. I think it's all right. price for the Local Florist is going to be $249 US. $249. We did the math today, and that's what it is. know if you're less interested now or more interested, but I think it's a good price for a really interesting circuit. If you are interested in purchasing a Local Florist, we literally made 110 of them, and between me, the guys at the shop, and a few of my local friends here, we're down to 100. So if you really want one and you want to be a part of getting it as quickly as possible, join the mailing list on our website. And we're going to give the mailing list probably like a 10-hour head start, and then I'm going to come out and do a live stream and talk about it once it's live. So there you go. Oh, the Smash and the Mixer and the Gibbon, those are going to be a bit longer. They're in production now, but they just started, so they're probably going to be 2 months out. But those are going to be $149 each. And the way we're calling them the zoo modules, because they all have animals on them. The way the zoo modules are going to work is we're going to release them as a set first, where you buy all three, and you get a bit of a discount, and then after a few weeks we'll open it up to buying individual modules. We did order 200 of each of the zoo modules, so that's the way we're going to do that. I don't think very rarely do we mail stuff out for a couple times a year. We're not terribly good at that stuff. No, that's not true. I think Danielle sends something out every time we announce a new product. You can always sign up again. I can't imagine that they're going to sell so fast that they won't make it a week or so. I don't know. I could be wrong. Get in early. They're going fast. Is not happening. They called that a while back. I got you covered, Yotis. We have two fun really cool sounding synthesizers that we were going to announce at NAMM this coming year. But any idea what the zoo set is going to go for? We haven't done the deep dive into the math on that, but each individual module is going to be $149. So the set will be a little bit discounted off of that. I don't know why it keeps doing that. The set will be discounted off of that, so I don't know. Maybe $350. Don't quote me on that. Virtual talk with the local university here in Pittsburgh, and it was a lot of fun. It was nice to chat with people that could talk back, because it was over Zoom, so people could ask questions, and I could see their faces and hear their voices, and that was nice. Yeah, I know we have products to announce, so we're going to announce them whether there's a trade show or not. It's a bummer that the trade show isn't happening, but we must go on. I suspect, I don't know anything, but I suspect that Nick over at Sonic State will organize something for the companies that do have products. They did a great job for Super Booth last year, sort of organizing a way for the smaller companies to get some publicity for the products that they were going to announce at Super Booth. So I expect, and again, I don't know anything, but I expect him to do something like that because it helps him out a ton as well. Some trick to it. Thank you. I don't get super chats very often, but I appreciate that. Is there a way to get the hard sync car sound? Just take the square wave. Let me move my big head out of the way here and zoom out. Or even better, move the zoom. All right, you could take the square or the pulse wave out of the second oscillator into the sync input, and that's going to give you that hard sync sound. Is it going to sound exactly like the car sound? I would have to listen to a couple car songs and then patch it up to see, but that's going to be the gist of it. And then you can play. The nice thing about this is you can play within the pitch to find that sweet spot. Oh, Yotis, I missed the really important interviews too. I can't wait to do more of them. When they canceled Super Booth this year, I was devastated because I had so many great ideas for those really important interviews. Tom was such a he's so fun to do him with at NAMM. We had some really funny plans for a couple sort of important interview skits, and it's just we didn't get to do them, so that's a bummer. But next time I see Tom, and next time we're out in the world, we're absolutely going to do them. So there will be more important interviews because they're just too fun to not do them. I just went back and watched that video, the after NAMM, where after each day we would do a sort of check-in blog as we walked to and from, or from dinner after the show every night. And I forgot how tired we were. It's funny that I kind of look at that video as a little time capsule for me. And I'm glad I made it, because I will now have that moment for me to take me back forever, which is awesome. We typically don't send out gear for demos or anything. Just because usually everything sells so fast that there's no reason for it. We do send stuff to Nick in Sonic State. We have a great relationship with him. But other than that, I don't see a whole lot of benefit in it. Especially since I'm here, I'm here doing this 3 or 4 nights a week. Talking directly and answering questions doesn't make sense. I don't think. Bill, another video with Gaz. I have to get in touch with him. I haven't talked to him in a month or so, and I miss Gaz. Gaz is a good friend of mine, and we have absolutely wonderful conversations. He's one of those people that at Super Booth every year, we feed off of each other in probably the worst possible ways. We are not positive influences on each other, but we have an absolutely wonderful time and just fantastic conversations. And I can't wait to see him again. Maybe I'll reach out to him and see if he wants to do a live stream. I know he's been doing live streams like crazy. He's doing 2 a week. I had plans to do better morning videos this year, but obviously I'm not going to try. But yeah, that was tough because I was doing them sort of walking around live from my phone. I had to do them really early in the morning while there was still Wi-Fi, because at NAMM, the Wi-Fi once people start to come in, there's no Wi-Fi left, and you don't have enough that you can stream with. But I had some ideas for this year to do it a much higher quality and make it a bit more interesting. But again, there's always next year. Those were super fun, and I love doing them. NAMM, because I'm on East Coast time and I go out to the West Coast, I end up getting up really early. So in the mornings, I like to go and try to get my steps in, get a little bit of exercise by walking around the floor, because during the day, I don't really have time to walk around and see what is all there. So I'll get there, 7 in the morning or something, and kind of walk around the showroom floor when there's no one in there. So that's the perfect time for those types of things. And I think now that I understand how to do it, and I understand the challenges and the gear that you need, I have all that stuff now, and I think it would be a bit better. Because I know they came out a bit harsh, and the audio was pretty bad in them, but they were fun anyway. Here I can zoom in. This is the Local Florist here. Local Florist it's sort of it's technically, I guess it's sort of like a flanger chorus, and that's where florist comes from. Flanger chorus, florist. But it leans a bit on the longer delay times than certainly than flanger. But the key to this circuit, what makes it interesting, and maybe not a traditional flanger chorus, is this sort of hyper-controlled feedback that we have. So it allows allows us to do like spring reverb type effects with it, things like that. Let's see if I can remember which channel it's on. This sound right here is basically the Local Florist being played in sort of a Carpo Strong kind of way. I'm just sort of plucking it with a short burst of audio. So if we did something crazy and, you know, hit the time with some CV, you can pitch it a little bit, but this is certainly not what it's designed to do, but it's kind of fun. And it absolutely doesn't track volt per octave or anything ridiculous like that, but it has such a unique sound to it. Trying to find out. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it's getting basically a triangle wave, so there's really no audio of interest going in. This is all created by Local Florist, so it's kind of fun. Thank you, Breaker, for the super chat. The pointy finger. I'm here to entertain, if nothing else. Wow, 28 people. I feel like I should be trying harder. 28 people is a lot of people for this channel at once. If any of the 28 people that aren't participating in the chat have any questions, feel free to ask. Max, it's great to see you in the chat. Haven't seen you in a while. Cool to see you. I hope your side of Squirrel Hill is safe and cozy. Hold on. Oh, the song Nightlife by the... Sorry. Song Nightlife by the Cars is the type of hard sync sound I'm thinking of. The SV1 auxiliary LFOs do not do one-shots. No, they do not. You could patch out of the ADSR and use that as a one-shot. That would be probably the way to go with that. I'll have to check out that sound. I don't really... It's been a while since I listened to the Cars. I'll have to play around with that and see if I can come up with something interesting. been using the same pots for so long that I just use, we don't even think about it anymore, it's just the same pots over and over again. And switches, we just found some, you know, we bought 10 different switches that sort of fit our purposes and tested them all and stuck with the ones we wanted. We've gotten away from using manual switches, like toggle switches like this. We've stopped using these, and we've replaced them now with buttons. Like, everything's covered in wires. Like the buttons over here. All these. And for something like, because it allows us to do things like cycle through multiple options. So, although these buttons then, they're just tact switches. They're super simple. And they're, what we do with those is we use those to control analog switching chips. So all the switching happens on a chip, and these just control it via a little microprocessor. But it allows us a lot more flexibility to do interesting things than just using switches like this. I appreciate you loving the new faceplates. Yeah, these are. I was so excited to see them when they came in today. It made me happy. It's just one step closer. That means they're almost ready to start shipping. We're waiting on the PCBs, which should be here in a week or so. Yep, I can show you how the kick works. So here's the kick sound. Super simple. Honestly, I use the same kick sound every single time. The pattern is on the percussion sequencer here, and I'm just taking the envelope out of the percussion sequencer. I am pinging the low pass gate. So this wire right here is just the envelope, super sharp, basically a trigger from the percussion sequencer into ping the low pass gate, which this is a traditional low pass gate. This low pass gate has the Vactrol in it. This is a very Buchla style low pass gate. It's in filter mode with full resonance. And what that means is, if I unplug this, I can show you. What we're doing essentially is with this thing, we're turning the frequency knob really fast. And I'll turn it down a little bit because this will get really high pitched. We're essentially doing this really quickly. And I can't do it fast enough with my fingers to make it sound like a kick drum. But you get the idea. So, and if you leave it open a little bit, you get a nice low end there. Now, the output of that, I patch into a filter. So let me go over here and move my big head. So that the output of that goes in the filter, and you don't need to. I could open the filter up here. And the reason I go into the filter now that this is open, you can kind of hear it, is I just roll off some of that click, because when you are sort of modulating the frequency, it is full frequency, so you get a lot of high frequency information. So I just run it through a low-pass filter, nothing fancy. It can be really any low-pass filter. Just to roll off some of the click. Now you can get really dark if you want. You can add a little bit of resonance to bring the presence up a little bit. And that's it. The output of that goes into the mixer. So it's a really simple patch. And I use that kick patch and everything. And when Herm and I perform together, we both use the same kick patch. So sometimes you forget. It's difficult to try to figure out who's making the The kick? Like, oh, is that my kick or is that Herman's kick? Switches because they're positive only. If you send me an email, I can tell you exactly. I can send you exactly what the part is. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but the switching chips I use, they're quad packages, and they let you pass full positive and negative voltage signals through them. So they work really, really well for purposes of Eurorack. You have to, there are a couple tricks to wiring them so that they work properly, but it's not the end of the world to figure that stuff out. If I run the... Let's try it, Yotis. See what happens. See you, Christopher. Thanks for hanging out, man. Unstable mode. I think it gets pretty bonkers. I like it if you get right to the edge. It acts like a gate. you do get to a point with the kick drum. You do get to a point where if you bring up the frequency, you get that tail, but it gets to the point where it just never closes. Because that's essentially what you're doing, is you're opening up the filter. So you're kind of playing on how far can I take it before the tail starts to let through some audio frequency information. You know, it cuts off so sharp that you kind of gotta wait until you get there. Sometimes though, you know, if there's a ton of stuff going on, you know, if you have this going on as well, you can kind of tune the kick, and then it doesn't really matter if it's sort of droning on in the background because it's just part of the tune. I don't know. If I have a big bass sound, I try not to let that drone too much because it'll kind of compete with it for space, but this song doesn't really have any low-end bass in it, so I think it works. Thanks, Rob. Don't part with your binary filter. Right now we're not making any more. So. We have the Crow coming out, which is part of the binary filter mixed with some other stuff, but it has such a different sound. It's not the same thing. So if you like the sound of the binary filter, keep it. It's time to start getting rid of some of these sounds. There's so much going on. That I can't even remember how these sounds are made or what's doing them. I was going to say this has to be the primary oscillator, because that's definitely the fragment sound. Weird that I didn't even run that through a filter. Why wouldn't I run that through a filter? I think it should go through a filter. Oh no, where does this go? Maybe here? Yeah, I tried to make these channel driver parametric EQs as small as I could get them, but you can't. There's so many damn knobs that it kind of has to be that big. I guess I could have used these little trimmer pods for the whole thing, but then it's no fun to use. You mean this? Oh, I've had this in my case forever. This is a prototype for a module that we've never made. It's the dual dynamics section of the voltage lab. This is a prototype that was sort of proof of concept, and we actually, the production version is ready to go into production, but we held off for reasons that hopefully make sense soon. So I could run, well, let's play with the kick through some EQ so we can hear it. So let's pretend that the kick is coming out of there. We'll just run it through the channel driver here. And see what the channel driver can do for us. So if we sort of zero it out. We can get it nice and clean. We can add some low end. And then we could just drive it to all hell. This is kind of what the channel driver is good at. The channel driver has two overdrive circuits in it, one at the preamp input and sort of a passive one at the output. So you can either drive the signal at the preamp with 30x gain, or you can sort of leave that at unity and drive it with the EQ, which will push the overdrive at the output. Or you could drop this down, EQ it, and bring it out nice and clean. Or you could drive it in both places and just push it to all heck. Again, I've talked about this before, but the channel driver, this really was just a DIY module for me. I don't think it was ever meant to be a production module or anything. But it's the parametric EQ section from the Tascam M50 or M30 mixer, which I think sounds spectacular. I have one at the shop, and I just wanted one of the channel strips, but I kind of wanted it to be a bit more aggressive than that when I needed it to be. So I added the preamps at the beginning and the overdrive at the beginning and the end, and that's kind of that. So I think all the sounds that aren't on right now, I'm just going to pull them out because I can't hear them anyway, and things are a mess and I don't know what's going on. This is the problem when the live streams get too long, is the whole idea of the patch lab is it's one patch, and then I don't have these awkward moments where I'm like, no, really, this is interesting, but it's really just me ripping apart a patch. But hey, what are you gonna do? channel driver modules, there's two problems with it. Greg, one is there's no voltage control over anything, and I think Eurorack people tend to believe that you have to have CV control over something to make it worthwhile. So, for that reason alone, I don't think it would make a terribly interesting Eurorack module. And two, it uses a couple really weird parts that we don't typically stock with extremely long lead times. We had a couple in the shop, which is why I was able to make these, but there was some DIYing as far as making the parts fit type thing. So it would be, I don't think it's going to happen. So touchy, depending on what goes into it. I'm always surprised how it sounds, because you have sort of an expectation of how it's going to react, but it's so level specific that you're never really sure until you patch it in what it's going to sound like. And sometimes it sounds exactly how you want it to, and sometimes you're like, you know what, maybe that's not the sound I'm looking for. Problem is I have a bunch of dead patches in here, but I don't know which ones are dead. Let's continue Here's a fun thing. This cable right here, it's purple, but it's not the same color as all our other purple cables. And that's because way back when we started doing these noodles, we, with the second batch that we ordered, we received an entire order of blue cables that, for one reason or another, the dye that they dye the cables with hadn't set. And so it was bleeding on all our cables. And we didn't ship any that way out of our shop, but it meant we had a box of like 1,000 blue cables sitting in the corner all the time that we knew we couldn't sell. But anytime we needed a cable, I would just go over and grab them. So I have a lot of my cables are now blue tinted because of that. time I used my low-pass gate as a low-pass gate, not a kick. You know what? Honestly, I can't remember because anytime I want to use a low-pass gate, I use the dynamics controller because I just love the way it sounds. So the low-pass gate in my case is essentially just a kick drum. I don't use it for anything else ever. Yeah, the hat's super simple. It's just some noise coming from mod tools through a high-pass filter. That I'm triggering with the function generator in the top of the mod tools with a little bit of modulation just to make it interesting. To hi-hats is just movement. Just to keep it as subtle as possible. But it's got to move a little bit or it just sounds super static. Those Earthquaker guys are awesome. They're about 45 minutes away from here, and they sent me when they were working on the Afterneath. They sent me one to check out and try out and make sure it was sort of Eurorack friendly and all that. And it was really fun helping those guys out. Really nice guys. Noise is coming from just the noise output of the mod tools. It's just noise. So like our dual VCA, exponential VCAs, but a linear VCA is nice for modulation, but really it depends. A linear VCA can work incredibly well if, because it's going to respond exactly how you patch in with your envelope. So if you give it an exponential envelope, you're going to get an exponential response from the VCA. So it's not really limiting in any way to have one or the other. It just kind of changes the way you patch. Notice I don't have a bunch of big cases full of every module we've ever done. I have boxes full of modules, but I don't have systems with most of our modules in them. At the show, you've been to the shop. I have cases at the shop, but most of those modules are just sort of setting in there because it's inevitably I end up taking stuff out for whatever reason to test or use it with something else, or someone has a support question, so we need to try it on the module to figure out what's going on. So it's near impossible to wrangle all of our modules at any one point in time. But I do have a box in the basement of our shop that theoretically has every one of the first 2 generations of modules in it. I wish I could say they were packed up nicely and safely, but they're all in a box with bubble wrap, but I should just pull them out and box them up individually and then put the bubble wrap in, but someday. Yes, Rob, I think it's whatever thing works best for you. I don't know if there's a right answer to any of this stuff. All these modules and all Eurorack in general, we're trying to solve musical problems here. These are not engineering problems to solve. So it's how does it sound to your ear? Does it solve a musical problem that you have with your system? Are you missing something that you need to make the music you need to make? Those are the questions that are important to ask. Before I started designing this stuff, I was sort of less interested in that side of it. Really just interested in, hey, can I solve a problem with this? I wish I could say that's the way I felt now because, I am deep in the engineering and design of this stuff, so that stuff matters to me for other reasons. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, and Michael and I are sitting down making final decisions on how a module is going to sound or how a module is going to feel or how a knob feels when you turn it, ultimately it comes down to which one is more musical, and that's the way we always go. And a lot of times it's not the best sound, the cleanest, or the most correct from an engineering standpoint, but it doesn't matter. What matters is does it inspire you to make a track or make a loop or make a patch like I did tonight. That's all that matters. And now that I'm on my soapbox, I think it's a good time to call it an evening. I've been trying to keep these down to about an hour and a half. I failed miserably tonight, but 2.5 hours. This is a more typical patch lab, I think. I don't think the patches were particularly spectacular tonight. I think there was a bit there in the middle that was nice that I will take, and I can make a 1-minute track with that. But I think most of this was more experimentation than anything else. But then there's nothing bad that ever comes out of experimentation. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that I had a lot of fun tonight, and I think there's something to be said for that. you kind of wish that, you know, I'm showing off the Local Florist panel for the first time, so like I should have some amazing patch to go along with that, but I didn't. But it was fun tonight, and I thought it sounded good at points, and I got to hang out with everyone, so that's really what matters here. So you guys have a safe evening, and stay healthy. I will be back doing this again in a few days. I have some work to do in the meantime, but I suspect I'll be back Wednesday or Thursday night for another one of these. You guys have any questions between now and then, shoot me an email, richard@pittsburghmodular.com, and I'll try to answer it. If you are interested in the Local Florist and you're desperate to be one of the first people on the list, then make sure you get on our newsletter on our website, because you guys will have on the newsletter, we'll have a little bit of a head start. Like I said, there's 100 of them. I don't know how long they may last for weeks. I don't know. Sometimes we make 100 of something and you know, that's a lifetime supply. And sometimes they go real fast, so I don't know. But yeah, that's that. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Do the YouTube stuff, so click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. That helps actually, because I don't plan most of these live streams. I just kind of, when I have time, I'll come downstairs and turn everything on and go, and I usually know about 15 minutes in advance when I'm going to do it. So if you do get a notification, if you do want to hang out with us, you know, subscribe and hit the notification so that you know that when I'm live and you can join us for some fun. But anyway, thank you guys. I will see you in a few days. All right. And that's it. See you guys.